I want you all to know I feel your pain. Hey, this is Bob, and really I do. You know, I am as much an enemy of what atheists despise as I am of the atheists, or possibly more. There's some people like, I hate you all, whatever it was, 60s, yeah, anyway. I'm doing a video response here, but I'm also just posting a general video to a lot of people regarding themselves to be atheists, because, you know, I've worked you around on some things, trying to help you see some things that are short-sighted, typical maneuvers, and I've also instructed a lot of Christians there, and I hope that they're more educated when they go to reason with people so that they aren't caught by various fallacies, and these are legitimate fallacies that I've outlined, and I'm willing to reason about those things. I'm not willing to just sit there and let people call them red herrings and stuff, because these things have foundational principles behind them. But we can detail that down to the level, as long as somebody will stay on track and not, you know, resort to ad hominem attack and all this stuff. And I appreciate, hey, you all, 66s, I don't know your real name, I appreciate your response. It was well thought out, and actually, I think I agree with, well, let's see, do you agree with everything, Mr. Horse? Well, yeah, actually, I think I do. I think I agree with pretty much everything you said in that video. Now, understanding that I still don't adhere to the thought that you can't know that there is a God. I mean, spiritual experience, absolutely, when you seem to understand that in your video. I have never disagreed that there are countless people, the vast majority, I would say, of people who claim to be Christian are functional agnostics. They are socialized into it, and they act like the Antichrist. I mean, if you reason with them, if you try to reason with them in a conversation, they skirt away from things in the Bible because it threatens their socialized religio-socio structure. Socio-religio-politico, anyway, it's a messio, and it's created by man to try to allow people to believe that they're going to heaven. There's a religious codependence going on here, and I know at the root that if there are atheists out there who have just been repulsed by this, that this is what they're hating, and I hate that too. We're absolutely high five on that one. We absolutely agree. I despise the hypocrisy of what goes down in I can't relate to most church groups. They're called church groups, but in reality, if you look at the Bible, for one thing, let me just give you a little tidbit. It says in Revelation that God hates the teaching of the Nicolaitans. The word Nike means to subdue, dominate. The word Laos means the common people. So this is a word that means to subdue the common people. And every group calling itself Christian pretty much winds up with a religious hierarchy. And while Paul specifically augmented that by saying, do not lord over anyone as an elder. He gave instructions to elders in churches. Elders were to be ensamples. They were to be examples of what was right. Their relationship with God was supposed to bring them to a point of maturity where that they were not screwing around, they were not doing irresponsible things based on what their fleshly lusts wanted. Rather, they were sacrificing those things in order to do what children can relate to. You know, what is good for children, not what is somebody's passionate, short-sighted thing. You know, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is made of such as these, and he looked at these little children. And children have, you know, sometimes they're very selfish, but there's this innocence, this belief in what people say. And, you know, to a God who created us all, we need that kind of relationship with him, because he sees everything and we see virtually nothing. Anyway, just a few hypothetical things to kick around there in your mind, that these things really are the foundation. And if you were to read the Bible with this understanding and just read through it, you'd see the cohesive content. You'd understand this is just a testimony from God relating to humanity, and these are historical records of these things. And I pray that each one of you can, you know, do that and take time to reevaluate that and actually give God a chance, you know. maybe he will show himself to you in a very real way in your spirit. But you know, you're not going to find anything about him in the churches, because 99.9% of the people are there, I've experienced, in order to enter into a relationship where a man will tell them, you're going to heaven if you just come to my building and pay tithes. Chuck Colson did a survey in his book Loving God, and 90-some% of the people he surveyed hundreds of thousands of people, as I remember, and found out what we already know, that most of those people believe loving God is paying tithes and going to a building one day a week. And neither of those things is a biblical criterion for loving God. So there's just utter confusion and hypocrisy in the whole thing, and so I feel your pain, and I hope I can relate to more of you. Like, hey, you all, I appreciate your video response, and like I said, I think I agree with everything you said. Talk to you later.